Last point, before I end, para 13, the para just above this. That's all. Well, it's para 30, 1-3. I have said it orally many times. I put it in writing, something in his favor. I've already said it many times.
Para 3.
1-3.
1-3. Of yesterday.
Just the preceding para of what I've just immediately preceding. And that is why, Manoj, the issue is a very narrow one. It doesn't actually, should not cause any heartburn to anybody. Kindly see this. The scheme of 239AA provides adequate checks and balances for protection of national interests in the NCT of Delhi. This has been repeated, Manoj, so many times. Capital NCT Delhi. Look at this, Manoj. The Constitution provides. What more protection can Lordship give than give Parliament the entire list too as a concurrent list? Can a Lordship give any more protection, Manoj? The boss is Parliament, if I may use colloquial words, Manoj. Nobody is denying that. The issue is absent Parliament exercising contrary power, contrary legislative power. Somebody in the concurrent list can't exercise the same power, in this case a UT. That's the issue. Now read this. A conjoint reading of 239AA 3 and 4 posits that the conscious scheme adopted by Parliament in exercise of its constituent power, that is by constitutional amendment, is that the legislative power and concomitant coextensive executive power of the NCT, obviously not concerned with those 6 entries, can be legislatively overridden by Parliament. It's as simple as that. All this was national security, capital of India, nothing. Parliament needs to make a law, or an existing law needs to be applied to trump the exercise of power by the Assembly of NCT. I am saying this. He is not saying it, I am saying it. With deepest humility, Minister. Your Lordship is given a picture as if somebody is hijacking the national capital. Then, the Union is seeking to obliterate. Now, this is very important. This is a nuance. It's a jurisprudential nuance which I am submitting for Lordship's kind consideration. There is a difference between Parliament and the central government. My problem is my learned friend is reading Parliament to be the central government. That is my problem. That is where the nub of the problem arises. Parliament, your Lordship, has given power to trump everything. He says central government should trump. What is happening in this case? The notification impugned is a central government notification. That is not Parliament. Please exercise your parliamentary power. The Union is seeking to obliterate the distinction between Parliament and central government. Under the present scheme, the Assembly of NCT has full play in any unoccupied field of an entry in List 2. Acceptance of the Union argument and upholding of the impugned notification would effectively endow the Union government with an executive override. Your Lordship gives him parliamentary override. He gives to himself executive override by the impugned notification, which I have said is nothing more than adding 41 to 1, 2 and 18 by executive order. That's the simple nub of this case. Endow the Union government with an executive override over the Assembly of NCT. This is clearly opposed to the fundamental scheme of 239AA. It must be borne in mind that both legislative and executive checks that govern the exercise of power. 1. The entire list 2 for NCT effectively works as a concurrent list. Exactly what my Lord just observed. I am saying so myself. And this, well, I say what I am saying is, of course, subject to my Lord's, harmonizes the whole thing. What he says, well, will create a discordance. Because executive override of Parliament, of central government, can never be envisaged with a parliamentary override. The entire list for the NCT effectively works as a concurrent list. If any law made by Assembly is in conflict with a parliamentary law, the same can be reserved for consideration of the President. That's another Lordship knows concurrent list procedures. Further, in terms of the functioning of the executive, there's a difference power to refer. That's a separate one. Let's not get into that. Well, I only remains for me to thank your Lordships for a very patient hearing for both of us. Respect constraints. May I end, Malas, in pre-independence times, Malas. Long before independence, Malas. The British still used to call it the Indian Civil Service. So Nehru made a very interesting comment. He says, it is neither Indian, nor civil, nor a service.
at that time.
Well, my submission is that at the end of this case, it is vital for your lordships to demarcate black and white the powers. Otherwise, well, it will be either less of a service or less of civil. It will remain Indian. Deeply obliged.
Thank you.
But immensely, Bharat, for more than patient hearing.
Thank you, Mr.
We are
President.
immensely,
Only-
all your,
I've done it within 1 hour, Manoj. I want to repeat that.
No, you can
Get
absolutely.
some
you are
brownie
down to 1
points
hour.
it was a learning experience, Bharat.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Thank you, Dr. Singhvi. Thank you, everyone.
Very deeply obliged.
We'll take the mentioning. Yes.